There's a war going on outside. There's a war going on outside.
Running so late. Running so late. I wanted to do this at 5 o'clock. You know, it's a nice, beautiful Saturday afternoon. The sun is still shining. The weather it don't even feel like we're heading into winter. It feels just like a regular summer/fall-ish type of day. My favorite type of weather. So I wanted to get this done. 5 o'clock. Let's chop this up the only way we know how at Black Girl in a Blue State with your girl, the host, UGoddess, and be on our merry way because winter is coming. When winter comes, I stay inside. I hibernate until it warms up again. But welcome to Black Girl in a Blue State. I apologize for being late, but I am here. We are here. What are we doing today on the show? What are we doing today? Trump did a town hall style. Former President Trump did a town hall style question and answer session with undecided Latino voters. Undecided Latino voters. Very, very interesting stuff. So just like how we sat down and we talked about Miss Kamala Harris sitting down with CBS one-on-one, no teleprompter. We talked about how she sat down with The Breakfast Club, a very contemporary hip-hop, Black-centric radio show, very popular. And she also just recently, as we know, sat down with Fox News, which is craziness, right? Because Fox News is just such a conservative cable news station that it's like, how can she survive doing a show or doing a sit-down interview over there with Fox News? So I give her credit for doing these things, especially among all of the criticism of how she keeps repeating herself. She's a teleprompter queen. She's so rehearsed. She's so robotic. Well, you can't be all of those things when you're doing these intimate sit-down interviews. And so with that being said, we do also have to give credit to Donald Trump. We have to give credit to Donald Trump for going and facing the Latino voters. One of the reasons why I'm almost short, and hola Cali dude, hola Nicola, hola first name, last name, hola Vinny or Viney. I'm saying hola because we're going to be speaking a little bit of Spanish today on Black Girl in a Blue State. I don't know how to say Blue State, but I do know how to say Black Girl, Morena, and I know how to say blue, it's azul. So if I can just figure out how to say state, I could say my show in Spanish. Do we have any Spanish speakers in the building? Do we have any Spanish speakers? Thank y'all for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Again, we do have to, bienvenidos a la todos. Thank you for coming. Welcome to everyone. So we have to give credit to former President Donald Trump for facing these Latino voters. Now I have a little bit of a theory as to why this probably wasn't that nerve-wracking for him. Well, first of all, we're talking about former President Donald Trump, who is very, shall we say, confident within himself in most settings, except for when he feels like he's going to be attacked. When he feels like he's going to be attacked, we start to see a little bit of tail tucking going on. But unless he feels like he's going to be attacked, he's pretty confident standing in front of almost anybody and talking to anybody. And I feel like the reason why he feels comfortable doing this Univision interview, this Univision town hall with all of these Latinos, is because he feels like he can talk to these Latinos and he can win them over if he hasn't done so already. So this is not a challenge for him, and that's why he was willing to go ahead and put himself out there. But I still give him props for doing this because we all know that he has had some very controversial takes on immigration. And when we're talking about the border, when we're talking about immigration in general, you're talking about anyone who wasn't born in this country, correct? But when you're talking about the border specifically, it's really touching to the center of the heartstrings of Latino America, like Latin America. We're really talking about them for the most part. There's no one else that can really just climb into the country. In that way. So it's very important that he talks to these people, because lately he's just been saying all kinds of different things immigration wise, and they probably want to hear from the horse's mouth what he's got going on in that noggin of his. Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Do you really mean it when you say these things? So I do say shout out to him for doing that session. And what we're going to do today is we are going to discuss and talk about every single question asked. There was 13 questions asked, 13 questions. 13 on Espanol is 13. And we are going to talk about every question that was asked and every answer that was given. I will show you clips of the answers that Donald Trump gave. They are edited. These clips are highly edited, and I will say they're not highly edited to make him look bad. They're not highly edited because I hate Trump. It's nothing like that. Hi, Deku. Deku Sin, my name is UGoddess, and thank you for joining me today. This is Black Girl in a Blue State. The video clips are going to be highly edited only because of the way they shot the video. The way they shot it, they had a camera that kind of was like on this circular motion type of thing that like circled around him, because he's standing up on the stage doing this, stand-up town hall type presentation, and the camera work was kind of hard for me to clip it and focus in on it so that I can share it with you properly. But just know that this is Trump's town hall question and answer with Univision, which is a Spanish cable station. And if the video clips appear to be edited, they are edited by me, but they're not edited in a disparaging way or in a way to try to make him look bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just edited so that I can give you a visually appealing product, because the way how they filmed it, I wouldn't have been able to clip it and give it to you the way that I wanted you to receive it. So I promise you there's no okey doke going on here. Again, my name is UGoddess. This is Black Girl in a Blue State. We about to watch every question and every answer that Trump gave to the Latino voters, undecided Latino voters. So this is super huge. This is super huge for him. And we're going to get right into it. Let's do this.
So we come to cure the sickness of the hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Brothers coming out here with all that garbage. He say he's R&B watered down, washed out version of the music. You know what I'm saying? We bring down the dirty, uncut.
Yeah, you got it. Listen.
Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll do this favor for you. I heard you wanna put in work. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. It's very, very simple. I don't be with many people. I play mine, you play a role. Don't try to be no superhero. Beef is little. It could turn out to be big though. And you'll end up with a dimple right in between your temple. 'Cause no way, I don't play no games. See me, no way, no games.
Nah.
I don't play.
Yo.
Good luck, you gon' need it. I'm not conceited, I just know a lyrical maniac when I see it.
Yeah, my bad. First name, last name. I hope you're still here. I hope you're still watching. First name, last name. I was going so fast, and I just happened to notice that you had asked for me to give a birthday shout out to your mother, who is in the military and being deployed to Egypt tomorrow. Her name is Sergeant Annie Gurr. So big happy birthday to Sergeant Annie Gurr. We wish you safe travels. We wish you to remain safe, healthy, and strong while you out there in Egypt doing that military work that you signed up for. We appreciate your service. We thank you for your service, and a big, big happy birthday to you. I'm sorry, first name, last name, for missing your comment. I hope you're still with me. Feliz cumpleaños a su madre. And so let's get into it, y'all. Again, La Morena en la Estado Azul. Estado Azul, blue states. I looked it up while we were playing the intro. You feel what I'm saying? So I am a black girl in a blue state, and I'm paying attention to this election the best way that I can. And then sometimes I just got to get some stuff off my chest and talk about it. And the only way I could really do it is to talk about it with y'all. So I do appreciate you for watching. How many of y'all watched this interview or this town hall? It was pretty interesting stuff seeing him surrounded by, standing up in a room just full of Latino voters that had some very, very good questions for him. The only question that I would say that I seen that didn't come up, that I was surprised that it did not come up and made me kind of wonder, was no one asked him about Project 2025. Now, we all know that Trump has been denying any involvement with Project 2025. How would you say that in Spanish? I don't know how to say project, but 2025. Project 2025. He has denied having any affiliation with the people who've written it, which has been debunked, and we know that that's not true. But if he says it's not his policy, he says he didn't write it and he didn't approve it, and it doesn't represent his thoughts and it doesn't represent who he is, I'm going to need you to behave yourself, Kendrick Lamar, or my mods will take you up out of here. Okay? So behave yourself. So he says he's not affiliated with Project 2025, but I just thought it would be interesting if someone would have at least asked him about it, but they did not. So what was question number one from the undecided Latino voters? Let's just get right into it. The first question was from a woman named Diana Rodriguez. She was talking about the cost of living. She wanted to know, what are his plans? Hi, Deshaun. Thank you for stopping by. It's nice to have you. Hi, Nicolo. Thank you for stopping by to Black Girl in a Blue State. We're talking about former President Donald Trump and his question and answer session that he did with undecided Latino voters on Univision. Univision? That sounded kind of French. Univision. I don't think you pronounce it like that in Spanish. I speak a little French. I speak a little Spanish. So I don't know how that would actually sound if you said it in Spanish. She wanted to know about the cost of living. What are you planning to do about the economy? Groceries are too high. And again, this is my disclaimer to y'all. Just know and understand. Can Haitians vote? I mean, if you're a citizen in the United States, you can vote. You can vote. So, to answer that question. But just so y'all know, like I said, these videos are edited by me. I did have to copy and paste them together a little bit to make them more visually appealing, because the way that this particular interview was shot, it was shot with a moving camera, and a lot of times the camera was circling around the stage. And so I would cut out the parts where the camera was circling and just give you the parts where the camera was stabilized on former Donald Trump. So please don't think that the clips are edited for any other reason besides that. But let's get into it. The first question was about the cost of living.
And what they've done to this country is incredible in so many different ways. We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else. There's no other country that has liquid gold like we do. That's oil and gas. We're going to have many more jobs than we have right now. We set a record. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. I'm going to get your energy costs down by 50%, 50% over the course of 12 months, which will be easy to do because we have more energy than Saudi Arabia. We have more energy than Russia, anybody. Energy is going to bring it down, and the spending is going to bring it down. We're going to cut a lot of waste and abuse that won't affect anybody other than our bottom line as a country. And you're going to be in great shape. You just hang in there. We're going to bring those costs way down.
So from what I understood and heard, They're going to bring the cost of living way down and the cost of groceries and everything that we are all spending money on to survive out here. He's going to bring that down by using our resources that we have right here in the United States of America. He calls it liquid gold, gas, and oil. Gas and oil, he'll use that to be able to bring down the cost of living. I guess maybe by brokering deals with the gas and the oil. Didn't really go into too much detail there to be able to explain, because I just feel like most people, most average people, what we call middle class just it just kind of is a way of just saying average Joes, average people that just go out there and work a 9 to 5. Yeah, they try to categorize it by how much money you make. If you make in between this amount and this amount, you're middle class. If you make between this amount and this amount, you're lower middle class. And if you way down here, you just poverty. And if you way up here, you're the 1%. But for the most part, it feels like it's either you broke or you barely making it or you're super rich. And I feel like barely making it is like the middle class at this point, because everyone's complaining about the cost of living when you step outside that door. The cost of gas, the cost of food, the cost of rent is going sky high if you're a renter, and all of these things. So I really wish that both of these candidates would explain to us. Vice President Harris has the opportunity economy that she talks about, where she's going to bring down prices. She doesn't talk about it enough, if I'm not mistaken, but I know she talks about price gouging, how she's going to go after these monopolies and do something to regulate price gouging meaning when a company has the ability to just spike the cost of everyday things that we need to buy, and we don't have any choice but to spend this money, this high, large, ridiculous amount of money on everyday things, because there's no other option. And so she has talked about regulating price gouging and getting rid of that. And then here we have Donald Trump answering the question by saying that he would use oil and gas to help cut the costs of living and the rising costs of inflation. So question number 2, pregunta número 2. Jorge Valesquez says, I am a farmer. I pick strawberries with my bare hands. These questions are all coming in Spanish, by the way, and then they're interpreted to former President Trump in English so that he can respond accordingly. So basically, Jose Velasquez is a farmer. He's been bending over and picking strawberries with his bare hands for his whole life. That's what he does. And he's saying to Trump, the work that I do is mainly done by undocumented workers. Let's just keep it real. You know what I'm saying? And he says, if you deport these people, who's going to do the jobs that we do? Because we're out there doing these jobs. We're like really the only ones out there doing these jobs. That's why sometimes when I hear Trump say illegal aliens are coming in, illegal immigrants are coming in and they're taking black jobs, it's kind of strange to me, because what is down on paper as what is to be considered a black job, jobs that a lot of black people do, on paper, statistically speaking, illegal immigrants can't have those jobs. They can't take those jobs. You need paperwork to do those jobs. So really, maybe what he should be saying is illegal immigrants are coming in and taking other illegal immigrants' jobs or undocumented workers' jobs, but not necessarily black jobs. But I thought that this was a really good question. This man, he picks strawberries for a living. He works with his hands. He's a farmer. It's still skilled labor. It's manual labor. It's hard, brutal labor out there in the hot sun. And he says the majority of people who do this work are undocumented workers. And here you are telling us that you want to deport everybody. So who's going to do that type of work if you deport all these people that are doing it? And also he says, who will do it and what price will we pay for it? Because if you get rid of those undocumented workers and take them off the job still needs to get done. Somebody needs to pick the strawberries, y'all. You like eating strawberries? You like going to the grocery store and getting strawberries off the shelf? How you think they got there? Somebody's got to do that work. So if you deport everyone who's doing the work, who's going to do it, and how will it affect the price of food today? So let's go to Donald Trump's answer. Did he answer the question? Let's find out.
So the problem we have is we had people coming in under my administration, and they were coming in legally. They were coming in through a system that we had, which was great, because I'm the best thing that ever happened to farmers. You know that. I was great. You know, farmers are doing very badly right now, very, very badly under this administration. Under my administration, farmers did very well. We have to have a lot of people come into our country. We just want them to come in legally through a system, because they've released hundreds of thousands of people that are murderers, drug dealers. A lot of the jobs that you have and that other people have are being taken by these people that are coming from all over the world. They're being let in from jails, from nobody's ever seen anything like it. The jail population throughout the world has come way down, and it's all coming into the United States of America. They have to love our country. They have to love you, love our people. The problem with this administration is they've totally lost control. It's the worst president and the worst vice president that we've ever had in this country. 4 years ago, our farmers, including you, were making a lot of money. They were doing great. Now they're absolutely dying. We're going to turn it around. But we want people to come in, but we don't want murderers. So it was just announced that last month by the Border Patrol that under Biden and Harris, they allowed 13,099 convicted murderers, people in jail, gang members and other gang members. We have to have people that are great people come into our country, but we do want them in, and I want them in even more than you do.
Yeah. So kind of an awkward moment there. Kind of an awkward moment there as far as I'm concerned when it comes to answering the question about deportation. He obviously, we do need to be, every country needs to be a country of laws. Every country needs to have laws. Can't be lawless, and you can't be borderless. So I don't think anybody is in a position where they are saying we should have no laws, we should have no borders, everyone should just be able to come on in. I don't think anybody out there feels that way in any way, shape, or form, even the Democrats. No, I don't think that's what they're saying at all. I don't know if I like his answer. He started off okay, but then he just went back into his same old rhetoric about how, you know, the Democrats let in all these immigrants and they're murderers and they come from jails and they're criminals. This man, he's standing right in front of you saying that I pick strawberries with my bare hands. Who are you going to get to replace those workers when you deport all of us, or when you deport my family, when you deport my colleagues and my peers? Who are you going to get to replace those people? And how are you going to, and how will that affect the cost of the products that we are mining with our bare hands? And I sort of wish he would have answered that question, because that was such an intelligent way to put it. Like, there's consequences to everything we do. Not to say that we want anyone coming into any country without proper documentation. That's not the answer. But there are things that we can do to sort of help the ones who are already here and are not breaking the laws and are actually working, benefiting from their work, taking care of their families, and paying their dues. Those are the people that I think we need to give a second set of, we need to take a second look at before we kick them out. Obviously, those type of people would not be on the same level as a criminal, a rapist, a murderer, or someone who's trying to come up in here and, commit some type of heinous crime. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So yes, there needs to be laws. There needs to be regulation. We cannot be a borderless, lawless country. We definitely can't do that. The third question comes from I lost my list. I'm sorry, y'all. The third question comes from Daniel Perez. He says he just graduated from college. He's currently working as a delivery driver. So he just got his degree and he's working as an Amazon driver. He wants to know, like, how can you help me get a job? Like, what are you going to do to create more jobs?
Nobody's ever seen what we're doing. A combination of taxes, tariffs, and incentives. They'll be flowing into our country like never before. You need jobs, and that's what you have to do. Very soon, if I'm elected president, you're going to have a choice between lots of different companies, and you'll match it out with pay and with really very important, just as important as pay is you have to love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, having a job is
Yeah. So I don't know that he really answered how he's going to create jobs. How is he going to create jobs? How is he going to get them jobs? Let's listen to that one more time.
Nobody's ever seen what we're doing. A combination of taxes, tariffs, and incentives. They'll be flowing into our country like never before. You need jobs, and that's what you have to do. Very soon, if I'm elected president, you're going to have a choice between lots of different companies, and you'll match it out with pay and with really.
Okay. So he was saying that he will create incentives in order to bring people to this country to create their businesses here. And then that, of course, will then turn into jobs for Americans. Yes? So that sounds about right. Makes sense. Peter says tariffs will require companies to build factories in America. Yeah, I had to replay the clip because I honestly was a little distracted, Peter. I had to replay the clip. But yes, by him giving incentives to other countries to not continuously import into our country and charge a lot of money, how about you just come and build right here in the United States? Just come build right here. We're going to give you a bunch of incentives to come and set up shop right here in the US. You could still sell your products to the United States, and that will create jobs for Americans. Japanese internment camps, Project Aurora making food prices high. Sheesh. Not internment camps. Oh, like you're talking like back in the days. But yeah, the price of food is definitely something that's on everybody's mind, and a lot of people are asking about it. Question number 4, número 4, was from Natalie Martinez. She says the national debt is $35 trillion right now. That number just doesn't even sound real. It sounds made up monopoly money. So her question was about the national debt and like, what is he going to do to bring that down? Let's listen to former President Trump and what he is telling these undecided Latino voters. It's just a bunch of just a room full of them, and he's facing them all head on.
We have record national debt. We've never had anything like it before. We were getting ready to start paying down debt, and then we got hit with a thing called COVID, or the China virus, and that had to be the focus, and we needed to help businesses stay in business. And if we didn't do the job we did, Linda McMahon did a great job, Small Business Association. If we didn't do the job that we did, you wouldn't have any companies, right? You would have been in a depression like in 1929. We had to focus on that, obviously, but we had the best economy that we've ever had. And we have Elon Musk, who's a fantastic guy and a fantastic genius. He's a genius at a lot of things, but he's a great business person also, in addition to sending rockets. You saw his rocket come down the other day and land. The way it landed was so incredible. Nobody had ever seen anything. We're going to get it down. We're going to start paying off debt. You elect me president, we're going to be stronger than ever. That's what I do.
So I guess his answer to how he's going to bring down the debt is Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk, we all know and must admit that he's a very, very, very rich man. So he knows about dealing with lots of money. I don't know if he knows about how to deal with $35 trillion, but he probably know how to deal with $34 trillion. So maybe he might be able to come up with some good ideas to help the president. But that was his answer for the national debt, $35 trillion. dollars. How are you going to bring that down, sir, if you get up in there? Question number 5 is from Guadalupe Ramirez. What is your plan for immigration reform? So we're back to immigration. I think this is the third time we've talked about immigration, or maybe the second so far out of 13 questions. So let me go to the comments real quick. Hopefully Peter is helping me out. And how did I know? How did I know it was going to be you helping me out to explain some of this stuff? Because it's almost like you're a Trump interpreter. It's almost like you speak Trumpian. Okay, Peter says, again, tariffs. He's going to use that money to pay down the debts, and the goal will be to help people not have to pay taxes on tips. We have a deficit in a lot of tariffs. Yes, Peter, can tariffs save the world? If we sprinkle tariffs on the end of a magic wand and spread it like this, would it cure the world? I mean, how much tariffs can he use to solve these problems? I do get it. If he puts tariffs on the countries that are selling us their goods and importing their goods into the country, then that will give them an incentive to lower costs, and that will therefore allegedly lower costs to us. But the flip side of that, isn't there? There's got to be a flip side to that, yeah? The flip side of that could be that those countries will raise their prices to cover the costs, or they will send the United States less product because they don't want to pay all the tariffs. And then costs for us may, no matter what, even though the idea is to bring costs down, the costs for us may still at the same time end up rising due to these tariffs. Darth says, I remember tariffs ending sale prices. Peter says, not all things tariffs help with that. Strategically use it. Could be a tool to generate wealth quickly. Yeah. Okay. So you generate the wealth quick, but then what happens after that? At some point, when you're all the way up here and you're riding that tariff high, at some point you got to come crashing down though, Peter. The flip side is, Peter says the flip side, because I asked about the flip side, is that tax people where they would have to pay more money for things that are imported into America. Yeah, and then things start to cost more for the people who are living here, and the people who are living in the United States of America are already crying, complaining, and hurting because of the cost of things as they are already. Darth says Musk makes some of his vehicles in China. No tariffs for Musk. Well, if Musk is making his cars in China, then yeah, Trump is going to have to put some tariffs on his ass to get them Teslas back into the United States. Musk should be making his cars in the United States if he wants to be on Trump's administration. He already got a job. Trump already gave him a position and gave him some duties and tasks. Landlord from Alabama says, what up, UGoddess? I'm late. It's no such thing as late. Thank you for joining us. This is Black Girl in a Blue State. I am your host, UGoddess. We are talking about Trump's town hall one-on-one with an entire room filled with undecided Latino voters. I gave him props for doing this because we know that immigration is a big, huge, controversial issue right now, and it definitely affects Latino voters, almost directly. Trump has a factory in Texas, Peter says. Yeah, I mean, obviously we want more manufacturing. If you're living in this country, the United States, you want more manufacturing to happen right here in the United States. That is just nonsensically, we know that it doesn't make sense to build things in other countries just to have them come back into the US, and that raises the price for the rest of us small fries that are just trying to get by. Question numero 6 is Jose. Oh no, question number 5. Guadalupe Ramirez. She says, what is your plan for immigration reform? And why did you use your influence to ask Republican legislators to not back a bill that would have made our borders stronger? Ooh, I think this is the first time I've heard someone, me personally, this is the first time I've heard someone ask him about this legislation that I keep hearing Vice President Kamala Harris talking about. I keep hearing her say, look, we had this bipartisan deal. Okay, we had this bipartisan bill. It was beautiful. You know, Trump is always saying it was a beautiful law. It was a beautiful bill. We had this bill. We worked across the aisle to get it done. And just when we were about to pass it, Trump had it. Trump stopped it in its tracks because he would rather what? He would rather run on a problem than fix it, right? I don't think I've ever heard anyone directly ask him about this bill that Vice President Kamala Harris is always talking about. Now, I've done my own personal independent research because I wanted to know what the hell was this bill. If it was so great, why didn't they just pass it? So I suggest you do the same thing. And then we found out that there were some other little hidden gems within the bill, and maybe that's the reason why it didn't go all the way through. But let's listen to see what did Trump say to this direct question, asking specifically about that piece of legislation that would have, we know for sure, would have given the border more support, more resources, more tools to do their jobs.
We had the strongest border we've ever had in the recorded history of our country. We had, 4 years ago, we had a border that was great. And again, people were coming in, but they were coming in through a legal process. They were great people coming into our country. And when you say Chicago, immediately we have to think about the crime because it's so dangerous in Chicago. And some of these people came from...
I'm sorry. I want to explain why he's talking about Chicago. He's not just going off on some tangent. In her question, she said that she lives in Chicago, and wanted to know what was the plan for immigration reform because there is a high level of immigration or immigrants in Chicago. So that's how Chicago is related to the answer that he's giving here. But she did specifically say, why did you stop that bill?
We had the strongest border we've ever had in the recorded history of our country. We had, 4 years ago, we had a border that was great. And again, people were coming in, but they were coming in through a legal process. They were great people coming into our country. And when you say Chicago, immediately we have to think about the crime because it's so dangerous in Chicago. And some of these people came from other countries. Many of them came from other countries. So what we're going to do is we have to be much tougher on crime. The Democrats are weak. Don't forget, the Democrats run Chicago. They have a mayor from Chicago. He's terrible. They have a governor who's horrible. Pritzker, he's a horrible governor. That's the state of Illinois. He's horrible. We had the strongest border in history, and we had the best economy in history. 2 things I had. And I said, that's pretty good. We also got into no wars. I didn't get into any wars, never got into a war, but I beat ISIS. And we beat them in 2 months instead of, I guess they told me it was going to take years, like 5 years. I did it in 2 months. Our military is incredible. I rebuilt the military.
And see, now, again, disclaimer for those of you who maybe just joined me. My name is UGoddess. I'm a black girl in a blue state following along with this election, following both sides of this election. And I wanted to give a little disclaimer that these videos that I'm showing you are edited by me, and in not any way to confuse or to any way try to change Trump's answer or distort the way he answered. It's only because I'm taking it from the actual interview, and the way that they filmed the video, the way that they filmed the town hall was with a moving camera. So there was a stabilized camera, a couple of stabilized cameras, and then there was a camera that sort of circled the stage, caught him from the back, caught him from the side, and just went around in a circle, kind of made you dizzy a little bit. So I chopped the video up to make it more visually appealing, not to in any way distract or dismantle his answers. So I'm giving you Trump's real answers, but it's just edited to take out some of that swirly, whirly camera work that they were doing. So how do y'all think he did about answering that question, because immigration is his jammy jam. We know that immigration is Republicans and conservatives jam. They got immigration wrapped up with a bow. They have the numbers are on their side. The legislation is on their side. The border union is on their side, literally. So Republicans and conservatives have immigration on their side when it comes to debating and doing these things. Dark says, yeah, he has no wars, but he let police commit police brutality. We need more YouTubers like you. Well done. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. Don't you know, sir, Deaf Mother, that you're not supposed to ask a lady how old she is? Women don't expose their ages. We don't do that. But how do y'all think he did with answering that question? Because he sort of started off good, but then you know how these politicians are. They just start going. They go off on these little rants and tangents, and sometimes they lose sight of what they were originally speaking about, which might explain why sometimes they might need a teleprompter. You know what I'm saying? The teleprompter sort of reels them back in. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, can we just behave ourselves up in here? Watch yourself, Deaf Mother. If you do that again, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And actually, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to make it happen. Understood? We all grown people here. This is not that type of channel. Please don't play with me. Do not play with me. We are here talking about politics. You need to be on a whole different website, sir. So the question was, she lives in Chicago, high rate of immigration issues going on there at the time. And why did he use his influence to stop that legislation? And damn it, he didn't answer the question. And I think this is the first time I've ever heard somebody actually ask him. And I really wish he would have answered and say, like, I didn't do that. Why did he not just say, I didn't do it? Or, yeah, I did do it. And I did it because the bill was a piece of what? The bill had a bunch of hidden stuff in there. They try to act like it was supposed to be all about one thing, but there was some other stuff in there too. You know what I'm saying? And then I would understand. But he didn't answer. Oh, I was disappointed. I was looking forward to that. Question number 6, numero 6, from Jose Saralegui. I am an undecided Republican. I have been hearing a lot of conspiracies about you, or from you. He says, for instance, you've been talking about Haitians eating cats and dogs. I love this town hall. These undecided Latino voters ask better questions than any seasoned journalist that you'll find on any seasoned cable network all across America. CNN, Fox News, ABC News, CBS News. None of y'all reporters ask these good questions face to face like this. Y'all so scary. But the Latino undecided voters, they talk to me. Hey, yo, I got to get rid of this guy because I'm sorry. He's just saying a bunch of weird stuff and it's really distracting me. I don't appreciate that. Coming in my nice little innocent podcast. We over here trying to decide who's going to be the leader of the free world, and you over here talking nasty. Man, if you don't get the hell up out of here, well, I don't gotta ask. I already made it happen. So I don't gotta worry about you anymore. So yeah, they asked about Haitians eating cats and dogs. Like what? Like, President Trump, talk to me. What's going on? Why are you saying these things? And do you really think that this is true? And here is Trump's answer about Haitians in Ohio.
It's reported. I was just saying what was reported. That's been reported. And eating other things too that they're not supposed to be. But this is all I do is report. I have not. I was there. I'm going to be there, and we're going to take a look. And I'll give you a full report when I do.
Nah. So his answer to that was, I was just saying what I heard. Like, that's what people told me. So I was just letting you know what I had heard. Like, I don't know if I like that as an answer. Not strong enough for me. Not very responsible for a leader to be spreading rumors and gossip without knowing for sure if it's true. Well, that's what somebody had told me. You know what I'm saying? So I was just letting you know because somebody told me. So since they told me, I was just telling you. You know what I mean? No, let's find out if it's true first, maybe, before we disparage an entire ethnicity living in a small town and just and making it so bad for those people that they literally needed National Guard and police protection just for their little children to go to school. Ever since he said that they were eating cats and dogs, they were getting death threats. They were, getting bomb threats, because words are powerful. And when you have that type of a platform and that type of power, you've got to understand and know that. You got to understand and know that. Agreed, he should have walked that back and said, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I really like you, Peter, because you're fair. I like fair people because I try my best to be fair during this election cycle. I promise you. And if you watched any of my other videos, you'll see and know that I'm fair. And you are a fair dude, and I like that. So I wish he would have, instead of doubling and tripling down on the Haitian thing, I wish he would have sort of just said, I don't, just thinking about it, I don't even want to talk about that no more. The governors and the mayors and the leaders out there in Springfield, Ohio have all come out and said it's not true. We're going to go ahead and listen to what those people say because they actually live there and they know if their dogs and cats are being eaten. The next question number 8 in Spanish, from Jesus Gonzalez. He says, can you explain your gun policy? Okay, let's go. Now we talking guns. This was a really good town hall, you guys. This was a really good town hall. These people are asking all the questions that we need to know before we vote for president. And they did a great job, and they held nothing back. And Donald Trump was there by himself, taking these questions head on. So kudos to him for doing that. He has no choice. He's got to reach out to these Latino voters, and he's doing just that. So here we go. Let's talk about guns. We know this is a very, very personal, emotional, passionate, and controversial subject.
If you ever tried to get rid of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to take away the guns because people need that for security. They need it for entertainment and for sport and other things, but they also, in many cases, need it for protection. If you have a house out in the country or you're in a little bit of a rough area or in a very rough area and the bad guy, let's call him, has a gun, if you don't have a gun, you're finished. The toughest gun laws in the United States, by far, are Chicago. And that's got one of the worst records of any city, and a lot of them are shot. 17 people died on Labor Day. 17 people died Labor Day weekend in Chicago. It's got laws that are so tough, they want to do everything. They can do anything they want. You have a gun. There's no place, maybe on earth, that has a tougher gun policy than Chicago. The bad guy's not giving up the gun. So that's what we have. We want safety. We want security. But you have to still adhere to the Second Amendment. Thank you. Great question. Thank you.
Absolutely. The Second Amendment ain't going nowhere, and no one's trying to get rid of the Second Amendment. I smile, but this is not funny at all, by the way, that Chicago is such a hot, dangerous, violent mess. I just feel so sorry for people who live in Chicago, or the people of Chicago who are proud to be from Chicago, like Chicago born and bred. They're probably Bears fans and Bulls fans, no matter what their stats and record look like they're just Chicagoans through and through. And every time their name gets mentioned, it's never for winning the Super Bowl. It's never for winning the NBA championship. It's never for curing cancer. It's always because they just out there living like it's the wild, wild west. So they are the perfect poster child for gun reform on both sides. It's crazy. They are the perfect poster child for gun reform on both sides. And I just feel so sorry for Chicago because it's always you. It's always Chicago. Whenever anybody want to fight for gun reform, they use Chicago. And whenever they want to fight against it, they use Chicago because they are just out there blasting each other all day long, all night long. Thousands of murders by gun. Like, what are y'all doing out there? So most people that are for leaving the Second Amendment as is, no gun reform, don't do anything to it because it's a slippery slope and they're going to take all our guns. In other words, conservatives, Republicans, the right hand side. Them on the right hand side, they use Chicago a lot because they say Chicago has the toughest gun laws in the country. By the way, that's not true. But Chicago has very tough gun laws. Yes, they do. And yet they still out there shooting and killing each other. So therefore, gun laws don't work. And you heard what Donald Trump said. The bad guys ain't going to give up their guns. But you want law-abiding citizens to give up their guns? How do that sound? Then when somebody sticks you up, you don't got no protection. That's common sense. Yes? What are the gun laws in Chicago? Okay. In Chicago, you can't get an FOID. So the FOID, firearm ownership ID, you can't have one of those if you've ever been convicted of a felony. That's awesome. That's great. I agree with that one. What you need a gun for? What you want a gun for? You made choices in life, and these are the consequences. Now you can't own a gun. You better go buy a knife. You can't have a FOID if you have been adjudicated as mentally defective. In other words, you're mentally impaired and it's on paper. You've been documented and diagnosed. You cannot have a gun because, you might make a mistake and you might do some weird shit with the gun. So, yeah, you can't have a gun if you're mentally defective. I'm sorry. That sounds harsh in a way, but those are not the type of people we want owning a gun. You can't have a gun if you've been a patient in a mental institution within the last 5 years. If you've been institutionalized in a mental asylum in the last 5 years, you cannot apply for a gun license. So this is why they say Chicago is like one of the strictest on gun laws. Because imagine, after I'm done reading these things, imagine that there are states out there and cities out there or places out there that don't have these laws. That don't have these laws. This is not okay. You can't have a gun if you are deemed intellectually or developmentally disabled on paper. Like, you have been diagnosed as these things your whole life. You cannot own a gun. What's up? What's going on with you, Narents? Thank you for stopping by. Just in case you didn't know, my name is UGoddess, and this is Black Girl in a Blue State. We're talking about Trump and his question and answer session with undecided Latino voters. You cannot have a gun if you've been the subject of an order of protection or a no contact order. Common sense right there. I mean, they're saying these are the strictest gun laws on the books. Well, to me, that's some scary shit to know that there are other states in this country that don't have these laws. That's not okay. If you have a restraining order against you, you definitely shouldn't be going to apply for a Chicago gun license. Everybody know you about to go kill your wife. You about to go shoot your baby mother. You about to go kill the girlfriend, her mother. You're sick of them. They bothering you, harassing you. She can't cook. She gets on your nerves. You cheating on her. You want to leave. All them reasons why we know the number one killer of pregnant woman, the number one killer of a pregnant woman is the father of the child. Not heart attacks, not strokes, not problems with the pregnancy, not malpractice in the hospital. Murder is the number one killer of pregnant women. So if you have a restraining order against you, hell no, you cannot have a gun. And by the way, that goes for men and women. Women can have restraining orders too. That's not just against the men. You can't own a gun in Chicago if you've ever been convicted of battery, assault, or aggravated assault within the past 5 years. So unfortunately, what was 5 years ago? 2019 going on 2020, because it's about to be 2025. So let's say 4 or 5 years ago, you got into a fight, a bar fight, you were arrested. It's 4 years later. It was just a one-off random situation. Too bad. You got to wait 5 years. You might be the most law-abiding citizen ever to walk the planet. It don't matter. It's on the books. It says if you've ever been convicted of a battery and an assault or an aggravated assault in the past 5 years, you cannot apply for a gun. If that's too strict for you, then you might need to live in Iraq. Because why would we want you to have a gun? We don't know if you have these violent tendencies or not. But these rules are just so strict. One more. If you are not a citizen lawfully present in the United States, you cannot apply for a firearm ownership ID in Chicago. So when they talk about how Chicago has the strictest laws on the books, those are the laws. And I don't know about y'all, how, however you feel about guns, however you feel about the Second Amendment, are any of those restrictions unreasonable to you? Think about it. You can't be convicted of a felony. You can't be mentally disabled. You can't have been committed to a mental institution in the past 5 years. You can't be intellectually or developmentally disabled. You can't be subject to an order of protection or have a restraining order against you. Duh. You can't be convicted of battery or assault or aggravated assault in the past 5 years, and you must be a citizen of the United States. Are any of those, do you think, unreasonable to be able to apply for a gun license in Chicago? Let me know. Let me know. So those are the so strict rules that are in Chicago. Those are what they're talking about. So Trump says you can't take away the Second Amendment, and you absolutely cannot take away people's rights to own a weapon. Definitely not. You can't take those away. Yeah, they're pretty reasonable to me too, Peter. They're reasonable. I understand why some strong people who strongly support the Second Amendment, I understand why they are concerned about gun control laws. They get a little nervous when they hear the word gun control because they automatically start thinking like this is gonna go bad one day. Like if we start saying, okay, fine, we'll ban AR-15s. Okay, fine, we'll ban. I know. A lot of gun lovers have actually taught me that there's no such thing as an assault rifle. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just something that's made up. I learned that in one of my last lives, and I had someone in here that was really big on guns and was not only a gun lover but a responsible gun owner and gun user. It's not just like, oh, I just love guns, but like I use guns, I know guns, I understand guns. Like those are the people I want to have these conversations with, because they will help me to understand the world of guns and understand their fears when they hear the words gun control. Because I'm just sitting here like kind of casual about it, like, yeah, make some strict rules to make it hard for people to get a gun. Because then if you're not trying to do weird stuff with the gun, if you don't have devious thoughts in your mind to do something with this gun, then you wouldn't mind. Ooh. Let me know if you can hear me, please. Sorry, I had a little bit of a technical issue in my ear just a second ago. I had to unplug. But I feel strongly, and maybe this is too much of a casual opinion, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for letting me know, Norrance. I appreciate you. It's a casual opinion and maybe not educated enough or whatever you want to say, but the black and white of it for me is that why wouldn't you want to wait? Why wouldn't you want to be regulated if you want to own a gun? Yes, the criminals are always going to have access. They're going to find a way to get their hands on a gun. So we want the good guys to have guns too. Absolutely. Please don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is if they make it just a little bit harder for you to get a gun just so that there aren't these little loopholes. I think really what they're trying to do is prevent these school shootings, guys. They're trying to prevent these school shootings because almost every single time, and we know it's not every time, But almost every single time there's one of these mass school shootings, y'all, after the fact, after they go and they investigate the person, after the dust settles, after they do all the interviews and all the investigations, we find out what? He bought the gun the same day. And it was all over his internet. It was all over his social media that he was mad, he was sad, he was depressed, he was bullied, he hated his teachers, he hates his parents, he hates Trump, he hates Biden, he loves Afghanistan, and he's able to just go. Oh, and by the way, he's been locked up. Bye, Narence. Thank you for stopping by. He said it's a little choppy, or she. They said it's a little choppy. I apologize if I'm having some Wi-Fi issues right now, y'all. Please bear with me if I am. But thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. But that's my only thing with the whole gun control thing. I'm not trying to take away anybody's gun. I'm just saying I don't see nothing wrong with a little bit of extra tightness and a little bit of extra security on even the good guys going out to get guns, because by making it harder for the good guys, maybe we're making it just that much more harder for the bad guys. I really appreciate you, Peter. He says he will definitely be stopping by again. Thank you for this. Very thoughtful, and I earned a subscriber. That really touched me. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for stopping by. I really enjoyed having you, Peter, because you helped to interpret some of Trump's speech for me earlier in the beginning, and I needed you, and you were there for me. So thank you for that. Please stop by again. The next question, y'all. Let's keep it moving. We talked about guns for long enough. Let's keep it moving. The climate change. These are just regular people asking these questions. These are not reporters. Kudos to these undecided Latino voters for pressing Trump on these issues. Carlos Garcia asks Trump, does he still think... climate. Carlos Aguilera, this is a different Carlos, asked Trump that he's been on record as saying that the climate change is all a hoax or whatever. Does he still feel that way? And how does he feel about the climate change? And let's hear what Trump has to say about that.
They want to spend $93 trillion on the climate. Now, I happen to think that there are very important elements of climate: water and air. In my administration, I had the cleanest air on record. And we're competing against countries that don't spend anything on climate change, like China and others. And they're able to make their product for tremendously less than us. The real global warming that we have to worry about is nuclear.
Okay. So Trump says they want to spend did he say $93 trillion on climate change? Where do you even find that? How do you even... That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And he says it's other countries out there that's doing big things and they not even spending that type of money on climate change. So they're ahead of us in some things where we're never going to be able to catch up, because we're over here trying to do climate change initiatives. China's not even doing that. So, I kind of feel him on that. Sorry, there's a piece of hair on my lip. But at the same time, we have money for everything else. We could find a couple of dollars. To talk about climate change and to talk about global warming. It is an actual real thing. It's something going on with the weather. We don't need to be meteorologists and scientists and Nobel Peace Prize winners to know that there's something going on with the weather. Come on now. They can control the weather, but climate change ain't real, please. They out there control. They like, let me conjure up a thunderstorm in Connecticut. Yeah, I want to see it rain. Let me go back to Landlord from Alabama's question about private gun sales. Yeah, so those are those loopholes. Those are those little quiet areas that I was talking about that really somehow, some way can't really be regulated. The only way it would really be able to be regulated, as far as I know, and who am I? I'm just a black girl in a blue state, but the registration of the gun. So when you do these private gun sale transactions, you have to report, you being the former owner of the gun, It is your responsibility to report that you have sold this gun and to whom you sold it to. And then that person should have to then, right, register the weapon under their name, just like you do with a car. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that gun to be registered to you if you no longer own it. Then the person goes out and does God knows what with it, and the gun is in your name, unless they scrape off the serial or whatever. But they could still find ways to trace the gun back to the last rightful owner of the gun. And then you're going to be in trouble. You feel what they're going to come to you. The FBI is coming to your house because you were the last person to own that gun. So with private gun sales, those can sort of be regulated by where they tell you you have to report these things. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if it's a private gun sale, you come to my house, you like this gun, here, it's yours. But it has to be documented. It has to be documented. So guess what? If that person goes out and does something ridiculous with that gun, it's already documented that you sold it to them. It's no longer your gun. You sold it to them. This was their name, social security number, blood type, urinalysis, all of that stuff. Like all of that needs to be on record before you hand over the gun to that person. Otherwise, unless it's an illegal gun. But if we talking legal private gun sales, there's a way that you can sort of monitor that by regulating the way in which they do these sales, where almost like I'm going to sell, my name is John and I'm selling my gun to Joseph, and Joseph can't have that gun until it's gone through a registry or some shit like that. Or it's documented. There could be an online form. We just fill out the online form and click submit. That gun no longer belongs to me. It belongs to Joseph now. Now Joseph goes out and shoots at you know what? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to come knock on John's door. They're going to go knock on Joseph's door. They got to find a way to be able to trace a gun from owner to owner. No, that's okay. We could go back to guns. It's all good. It's all good. So that was climate change. And question number 10. We got 3 more questions left. This is question numero 10. Yaritza Kun says, your wife, Melania, said that she supports women's rights. These people in these questions, boy. And then she said, do you agree with her? So your own wife, who's a woman, who is a mother, supports women having rights to their own bodies and what they do with their bodies. How do you feel about that, Mr. Trump?
I told Melania that she has to go with her heart and she has to do what she has to do. She has to support what she wants to support. And she wrote a great book. It's a #1 bestseller. I hope you all go out and buy it. What has happened is over the last 52 years, people have wanted to get Roe v. Wade out of the federal government. And they've been trying. Every lawyer, every legal scholar, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, everybody wanted it out. It shouldn't be in the federal government. They wanted it out for many different reasons, all of them very good reasons. I believe in exceptions. Most people do. Most Republicans do. It's now in the states. The people are voting as we speak. The people are voting. Some states have completed, like Kansas, Ohio, and a lot of others. But it's going to settle a problem that was only going to get more divisive and worse.
Yeah, and I disagree with Donald Trump on putting abortion rights to the states. Whereas I understand a lot of people say they don't want big government. They want smaller government. And, that's a conservative mindset. They don't want the feds sort of hovering over what I've got going on in Rhode Island, because what I got going on in Rhode Island is completely different than what they got going on in Kansas, and what they got going on in Kansas is completely different than what they got going on in Michigan. So guess what, federal government? Stay out of our stay out of our business until we come calling, until we need you. And I get that, but not for everything. Something like Roe versus Wade, something like abortion rights needed to stay in federal government's hands. A lot of people say, well, it's in the states' hands. If the states want it, they can just vote for it. It's simple. But the problem is, what if the states don't want it? And now you're a woman living in a state that just made abortion illegal. And now you need an abortion for whatever the reason. It's not nobody's business what the reason is, but there's lots of reasons why you might need to have this procedure done, bruh. It's a lot of reasons why you might need to have this procedure. It's not just the one reason that you might think. And now you live in a state that just made it unlawful. This is why the federal government should have kept it. This is why it should have remained within their hands, because they made it legal across the board, all 50 states. Now they say, now that Trump overturned it, now all 50 states have a say. So 13 states might say, yeah, okay, y'all could do it, no problem. While the other 37 say no, or vice versa. I think it's the flip of that. And now you end up in a state where you can't get something medically necessary done to save your life. Now, of course, they say that there are exceptions for rape and incest. And if it's going to be a detriment to the mother's life, like if it's going to take the mother's life, then they will put something in there to cover that. But if you just trying to get an abortion just because you just don't want to be pregnant no more, whatever your personal reason may be, young lady, ma'am, if your state voted it no, then you can't get it. You can't get it. You're going to have to leave, travel across state lines. And if I'm not mistaken, you could get in trouble for doing that too. So I just feel like they should have just left that alone. It's a lot of things that I get that states should be in charge of their own business. This is our state business. Our state business is not relative to what's going on in the state next door, or the state to the north, or the state to the south. We want to handle our own business. That I get, and I'm for that, but not particularly with this issue, and not particularly with a lot of these major, big, heavy issues. Sometimes you do need federal government to sort of step in and regulate that for the states. Question number 11. Once en español. Carlos Garcia is a data analyst and a pastor in a church. And he said to Trump, the first time you were president, that those 4 years that you were president, can you admit that you made any mistakes? This is a pastor saying this. So it's like therapy time for Donald Trump now. Will you admit that you made any mistakes? Can you tell us if you had any regrets? Let's see what Trump says to this. Where are we? Any regrets? Any regrets to his first run in the White House?
We didn't get into any wars. As a pastor, as somebody of faith, you have to like that. Hasn't happened in 82 years that happened with a president. So when you say about something I regretted, the thing I would say that's most important, and it's going to be most important for coming up, is people. In terms of knowledge and learning, it was people. If you have a good group of people, or a great, like, secretary, somebody in charge of a big agency, it's all about the people. So I would say that would be the biggest mistake.
So he don't have no other regrets except some of the people that he hired that ended up being a bust, that he had to fire and get rid of. People. That's his biggest regret. Now, if that's not a Trumpian answer, then I don't know what is. Do you have any regrets about your presidency, Mr. Donald Trump? The only regret I have is some of the people that I brought along with me that didn't deserve to come along for the ride. Next question. Win or lose, Mr. Donald Trump, win or lose, what will you do to unite America? Not divide us, but unite us. What will you do?
When we had the economy blazing, the best economy we've ever had, liberals, radical left people, as I would call them, Democrats were calling me. Our country was coming together. Then we got hit with a gift from China called COVID. And the thing that will bring our country together is success. I thought that even if you were successful, because the views are so different on so many things. For instance, the Democrats want men to play in women's sports. I don't like that. I don't know if they're going to change, but I don't think I could ever change. They want transgender operations, change a man into a woman, and in some cases, a boy into a woman without parental consent. I'm not going to go for that. So I don't know.
He said, hey, he started off. This, Trump keeps it real at the end of the day. What can I say? I can't deny certain things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and deny certain things. They asked the man, what will you do to help unite Americans? And the reason why that question is asked, I think we all know why that question was asked. Because the last time you ran and you lost, we saw what happened. So what are you going to do to help bring us together, sir? And he's like, when I was in there, we sort of was getting along kind of good. Like Republicans, Democrats, I had friends on both sides, kind of, sort of, whatever. But listen, I'm just going to keep it real. It's certain things that they believe in that I'm just never, ever going to go for. So I don't know what to tell y'all. And then he goes into the LGBTQ, all of that, and the transgender, all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just can't help himself. You know what I'm saying? And you saw there was a pan of the audience, and the audience's faces are like this. It's touchy when you start talking about the rainbow flag issues, because you never know who's in the audience. You don't know who feathers you might be ruffling. So it really is a bold move to be like, listen, the other side, they over there advocating for transgender reform and surgeries in prison and turning boys into girls and letting men play in women's sports. I'm letting you know right now, I'm not doing that, and I'm not having that. And I'm not on the side of that. So if that's what it's going to take to unite the country, I'm letting you know right now, it's a no. If that's what y'all saying I got to do to unite the country, it's a no from me. I'm just letting you know right now, up front. Loriano says, criminals don't need a license to get a gun. Criminals don't need to follow laws. They just get one from anywhere. And that's a problem. Guess what? That's a law enforcement problem. That's a law enforcement problem. Criminals are a law enforcement problem. It's not the laws, it's the ones who do have them and act on the crime. You talking about guns still, right? Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with you. Criminals are going to always find a way. But no one is trying to take away anybody's gun. I've never heard a Democrat say they want to take away everybody's gun and repeal the Second Amendment. I've never heard anybody ever say that. They just say that they want to strengthen gun laws and strengthen gun control. And I know that sounds scary to gun owners. I get it. But the Second Amendment protects you. The Second Amendment protects you. No one's going to take your guns away. The last question of the night. I loved this question. This lady, her name is Teresa Digero, and she gets up and she says, Mr. Trump, forget all of this political stuff. I want to ask you this. Can you name 3 things you like about Kamala Harris? This was the last question of the night, yo. Question numero 13. Question numero 13. Can you name 3 things that you like about Kamala Harris? And I love that, Blue. I like that, Blue, because not only can you not have guns, right? But your police don't have guns either, right? So how many mass shootings do y'all have? If nobody has guns, who's shooting up y'all schools? You want to switch places and come here where everybody's shooting up the schools? Let me know. But yeah, let me know, Blue. I'm not attacking you, Blue. I'm sorry if I got loud. Thank you for stopping by and watching these last few minutes. We've already gone through. Lips have guns, okay? You have armed squads. Yeah, so the countries that don't have gun issues tend to have knife issues, right? And there's still going to be, we can't outlaw violence, y'all. This is the way the human biology is wired, to be violent, to be competitive, some of us are wired to be evil. Some of us are wired to be docile. Some of us are wired to be aggressive, but they're never going to be able to stop violence in any country. But if you can't get your hand on a gun, you're probably going to get your hand on a knife, a bat. You're going to use your fists. And then you could easily just be taken down. You can't kill 20 first graders with a knife before somebody come in there and tackle your little crazy, weird acting ass. Right. They're going to go from knives to sticks and start just throwing rocks at each other. And the police gonna come and get you so damn quick. Can you name 3 things you like about Kamala Harris? I love this.
That's a very hard question. That's the toughest question. The other ones are easy. Look, I'm not a fan. I think she's harmed our country horribly at the border.
Yeah, Trump talked like us. He was like, I'm not a fan. That's kind of like how we talk, right? I am not a fan. But this was a good question. They challenged him on this last question.
That's a very hard question. That's the toughest question. The other ones are easy. Look, I'm not a fan. I think she's harmed our country horribly at the border, with inflation, with so many other things. But she seems to have an ability to survive. She seems to have some pretty long-time friendships, and that's, also I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing. So that's by far the toughest question I've had today. Thank you very much.
Can you name 3 things you like about Kamala Harris? He said she seems to be able to survive. And what you didn't see is that he wasn't talking about being a survivor, like being a strong Black woman or a strong Indian woman. He meant like she's been able to survive because when she first tried to run for president, she got booted out the race. She was the first one booted out. There was 22 people running and she was in 22nd place. And he was like, and yet here she is running for president. So she's a survivor. And then he said, and it looks like she has long-term friendships. So I guess that's something nice. I thought that was hilarious. They got him with that one. Laws in the USA are made for those who want to own one right away. Yeah, we the right way. They want to own one the right way. Blue, talk to me, because you from the UK. I want to hear your side on it. We aren't even allowed pepper spray. Some guy just walked into a dance studio and stabbed up a load of kids. And they had no defense. This was a few months ago. Oh, damn, Blue. Why do people always want to kill the kids, though? Why do they always want to kill the kids? To not allow you to have pepper spray is crazy. But I will say this. As someone who is a supporter of gun control and tougher gun laws, I bet you that incident that happened, that is absolutely horrible, I bet you that doesn't happen a lot. It happens a lot in the United States. It happens a lot here, and something's got to be done. And someone said something earlier about what the Second Amendment really is. Laureano makes a point that, because some people I don't think about this too often. Let's not forget the Second Amendment really was to protect you from a militia. It really wasn't just so you could walk around and play shoot 'em up, bang bang. that was the last question of the night. The 13th question was, can you name 3 things that you like about Kamala Harris? He had a hard time doing it, but that was the first time the audience reacted. That was the first time the audience laughed and showed any type of emotion. I will be right back. I'm just going to grab a charger so that I can finish up the show. I don't want my laptop to die. I want to finish up the show the proper way. So give me a minute. Let me grab my plug. I'll be right back with you.
So we come to cure the sickness of the hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Brothers coming out here with all that garbage. He say he's R&B watered down, washed out version of the music. You know what I'm saying? We bring out a dirty, uncut.
Yeah, you got it. Listen. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll do this favor for you. I heard you wanna put in work. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. It's very, very simple. I don't be with many people. I play minds, you play a role. Don't try to be no superhero. Beef is little. It could turn out to be big though. And you'll end up with a dimple right in between your temple. 'Cause no way, I don't play no game.
Yeah, all right. Thank y'all for sticking and staying with me. Hopefully you enjoyed the little intro. You know what I'm saying? That's a song called No Games, written and performed by your girl, UGoddess. But yeah, we were talking about the unfortunate thing that happened, the unfortunate incident that happened in the UK with the little babies. You know, I'm not trying to compare tragedies in any way, shape, or form, because that's just disgusting. But you know, we've had plenty of experience with the kids getting killed in these type of mass shooting and mass murder type sprees. So we know what that feels like here in the United States, and we never want that to happen anywhere in the world. But we must remember that Second Amendment was there, yes, for you to be able to protect yourself against an armed militia. And the Second Amendment is not going anywhere. And, you know, personal ownership of guns is not going anywhere. You're always going to be able to own a gun here in the United States, as long as you are eligible and qualified to do so. They're not going to take that away from you. 3 of those babies died. That just breaks my heart, Blue. It breaks my heart. And Loriano, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. You're done with guns. You've shot enough of them in your day and time. You're done with that. And Loriano also says climate change was a program designed by AOC, and the person who did it said it's only to control China. Doesn't have it yet. The pollution there comes here. Yeah, so Trump mentioned China isn't spending any money on climate control. So, you know, why should we spend all that money? That was a lot of money. Initiative in America, that's a lot of money. I would love to know where that money is going to and how and what and why. Let's see. One last thing before we go. Looks like I might be having some Wi-Fi issues. So if I'm shaky, please forgive me. Stick and stay with me. I'll be back. It's not going to last for long. How I wanted to wrap this up. Trump has a way of saying he was the best, he did the best, he was the biggest, the brightest, the cleanest, the best of everything that ever did it. And of course, Joe Biden was the worst. And, you know, he loves to state they're destroying this country. They're destroying the country. They're destroying all our country. He says that a lot. And I just wanted to wrap this up with a little bit of fact, and then we're going to go.
So as we could see, household income was on the rise in 2016. Going into Trump's presidency, unemployment was trending down going into Trump's presidency, and job growth was actually higher with Obama.
So that went a little quickly. Let me just quickly sum that up real quick for all of us. Household incomes when Trump took over in 2016 was already on the rise with Obama. But what happened was Trump, it was already trending upwards and he maintained the trend. So he actually can say, I had the better economy. But he wasn't, it's not like he was handed this economy that was in the dumps, and he took it and brought it up and put life back into it. It was already trending that way when he took over, and the trend just continued on, which means that he did a good job keeping the economy up for the most part, because those numbers did not change. Those numbers did not go down. Unemployment, the rate of unemployment was already doing this under Obama. So when Trump came in, all he had to do was just maintain it and keep it that way. But we know COVID happened. So of course, unemployment went through the roof in 2020. But prior to 2020, 2016 through 2020, unemployment was doing this. It was already doing that, my guy. And all you had to do was just go in there and not F it up. And then the last graphic that I showed you there was job growth. There was actually a loss in Trump's presidency versus Obama's. Obama had 224,000 jobs per month on average, while Trump had 189,000 jobs per month on average. However, I will give him the COVID pass. With 2020 through 2024, y'all, I don't think those numbers should count because of the pandemic. Those numbers will forever go down in the history books, but they're not like real numbers, because was the world real during the pandemic? Do you feel like we were living in the real world? Blue says, feels like we're turning into North Korea. No freedom of speech. Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, the UK government has gone mad with power. People are being arrested for certain comments on social media and being sent to prison for it. I love America. If I be there, I'd be pro-gun. I see that. I could see why. And yeah, the First Amendment, we deal with the First Amendment in the United States. Like, you could say anything you want to say. You just can't hurt nobody. But you can say anything you want. How are you all doing? How are you doing, Mike? I'm sorry, we're just about to wrap this one up. I've been on for an hour and a half, but it was a good one. So if you missed the first hour and some change, please go ahead. Feel free to go back and watch it and leave me a comment. My name is UGoddess, Black girl in a blue state. I'm just following this election on both sides, trying to pick the sense out of all the nonsense, and then just report back to you guys, because who else am I going to talk to about all of this? Can't talk about it at work. That would be inappropriate. Dar says, but when COVID became political, he killed millions by denying the vaccine conspiracies. Loriano says, women have all the rights. It's not up to the government to make her decision. Absolutely. Landlord says, facts. Blue says he subbed. Blue, thank you. So I don't know why I'm calling you he. I don't know. When I hear the word blue, I just think of a boy. But if you might be a woman. So Blue, thank you so much for subbing. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, if you missed the first hour of this show, I do suggest that you run it back and watch the see Blue, my bad, Joe. It's like Beyonce got a whole daughter named Blue, right? When I heard Beyonce and Jay-Z were naming their daughter Blue, I was like, that's a boy's name. I don't know why. Am I a sexist that like the color blue just is like masculine to me? But don't be mad, because blue is one of my favorite colors. Icy blue, cowboy blue, Blue is one of my favorite colors. I am a black girl in a blue state. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. Thank you so much for subscribing. I really do appreciate y'all for sticking and staying with me, Loriano, in a time of critical decision where life and death is involved. It is up to the mother and the doctor. Absolutely. Thank you, Blue. Now I know you a girl. Now I know you a girl for sure. Absolutely, Loriano. Go back and watch the beginning of this show if you haven't done so. If you were with me for this whole hour and some change, Y'all are the true MVPs of Black Girl in a Blue State. I can't do this without y'all. Thank you for staying, sticking with me, interacting with me. Please like the video. I'm just a small little channel. That's why you see I put the Cash App right there, because I don't even have like equipment and a good camera or any of that stuff. I'm just on here just talking to y'all from my heart. I don't have no script. I take notes, but I don't have no script. I just talk from my heart, talk from the top of the head. And I can't do this without y'all. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate the conversations we've been having, especially tonight. I appreciate y'all. Please be safe no matter what you out there doing. Pray for the families of the babies that lost those babies in the UK a couple of months ago. That's just absolutely terrible. It breaks my heart as a mother, as a woman. Yes, you guys are 5 hours ahead. Go to sleep, Blue. Go to sleep. You're 5 hours ahead of me. I'm over here on the East Coast. And so I'm well aware what time it is in the UK. I work with a lot of UK people, but that's neither here nor there. Please, everybody, have a good, safe night. Say your prayers, and please tap back in with me the next time I go on Black Girl in a Blue State.
So we come to cure the sickness of the hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Brothers coming out here with all that garbage. He say he's R&B watered down, washed out versions of the music. You know what I'm saying? We bring down the dirty, uncut.
Yeah, UGoddess. Listen. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll do this favor for you. I heard you wanna put in work. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. It's very, very simple. I don't mute many people. I play mine, you play a role. Don't try to be no superhero. Beef is little. It could turn out to be big.